The Vietnam War lasted from the late 1950s to 1975, spanning nearly 2 decades of intense conflict and upheaval in Southeast Asia. It was a long, difficult conflict between North Vietnam and South Vietnam, with the United States heavily involved on the side of the South, providing troops, weapons, and resources in an effort to stop the spread of communism. The war was fought in dense jungles, rural villages, and bustling cities, but a crucial part of the battle took place below the ground, hidden from view. The Vietnamese tunnel systems became one of the most famous and effective weapons of the war, baffling their enemies and changing the way battles were fought. Tunnels were not just simple holes in the dirt. They were carefully engineered to serve many purposes. These underground networks were complex, carefully planned, and often stretched for miles beneath the surface, connecting key locations and providing vital lifelines. The Vietnamese used them for hiding from enemy patrols, moving troops safely, storing weapons and supplies, and even launching surprise attacks on unsuspecting opponents. Tunnels became a powerful symbol of survival, resilience, and creativity for the Vietnamese fighters, who adapted to the harsh realities of war. The U.S. military brought powerful weapons, advanced technology, and overwhelming firepower to the conflict, hoping to overpower their opponents. Yet the tunnels gave the Vietnamese a secret advantage, allowing them to move unseen and strike unexpectedly, often right under the noses of their enemies. Underground, they could appear and disappear without warning, making it nearly impossible for enemy forces to predict their movements or launch effective counterattacks. The enemy was never sure where they would strike next, creating constant uncertainty and fear among U.S. and South Vietnamese troops. In this essay, we will explore how the tunnels were built, how they worked, and why they became such an important and legendary part of the war's history. We will also look at how the tunnels are remembered today, as a lasting symbol of resistance, ingenuity, and the enduring spirit of the Vietnamese people. The Vietnamese tunnel networks were marvels of engineering. They stretched for hundreds of kilometers, especially in places like Cu Chi and Ben Duoc. Some tunnels were only big enough for a small person to crawl through. Others opened into rooms where dozens could meet, eat, or sleep. These tunnels had many levels, sometimes going as deep as 10 meters below the surface. They were built with simple tools, shovels, baskets, and bare hands. Despite the basic equipment, the tunnels had air vents, secret doors, and even traps to catch the enemy. The tunnels served many purposes. They hid soldiers from bombings and patrols. They acted as supply routes, moving food, weapons, and information. In some places, whole villages lived underground when the fighting was worst above. In battle, the tunnels gave the Vietnamese a way to surprise the enemy. They could pop up behind U.S. lines, attack, and then vanish underground. The American military often found themselves fighting an enemy they could rarely see. One of the most clever and ingenious features of these tunnels was their hidden entrances, which were designed with remarkable creativity and precision. The entrances were incredibly tiny, sometimes just big enough for a thin person to slip through, making them almost impossible to spot unless you knew exactly where to look. They were expertly covered with leaves, soil, and natural debris, blending seamlessly with the jungle floor and making them indistinguishable from the surrounding environment. Even highly trained soldiers could walk right past these entrances, completely unaware that a hidden world lay just beneath their feet. Many tunnels featured special doors crafted from wood or bamboo, carefully constructed by hand to fit perfectly into the landscape. These doors were painted or stained to match the color of the ground, making them almost invisible even at close range. Some entrances were cleverly placed inside family homes, hidden under beds, behind kitchen walls, or even beneath household furniture, allowing fighters to disappear in seconds. Others were disguised as termite mounds, tree roots, or small water holes, using nature itself as a perfect cover. The Vietnamese people knew their land intimately, understanding every detail of the dense jungle terrain. They used this deep knowledge to select the most strategic and hidden places for tunnel entrances, always staying one step ahead of their enemies. Secret codes and subtle markings, known only to trusted fighters, marked the safe spots and guided allies to the right locations. Only those who were trusted, fighters and local villagers, knew exactly where to look and how to open a door without setting off deadly traps. This incredible art of disguise made the tunnels nearly impossible for outsiders to find, no matter how hard they searched. The hidden entrances not only protected the soldiers, but also kept the secrets of the underground world safe from prying eyes. Even when US forces searched an area thoroughly, they often missed the tunnels entirely, frustrated by the elusive entrances. The thick jungle canopy acted as a living shield, concealing the underground network and ensuring the safety of those who depended on it. Inside the tunnel system, Vietnamese soldiers could move quickly and quietly. The tunnels allowed them to pass from one area to another without being seen. This made it hard for the US military to trap or surround them. The Vietnamese could attack, retreat, and regroup. Sometimes, all in the same day. The tunnels were not just for hiding. They were bases for launching surprise attacks. Soldiers would crawl out of hidden exits, strike, and then disappear back underground. This hit-and-run tactic confused and frustrated US troops. The tunnels also protected important supplies and leaders. Meetings, training, and even medical care happened deep below the earth. When bombings began, everyone moved underground, safe from the explosions above. The US military often could not tell where the next attack would come from. Every rustle in the jungle could mean danger. The tunnels gave the Vietnamese the power of surprise, turning the land itself into a weapon. One of the most famous and daring uses of the tunnels came during the Tet Offensive in 1968, a turning point in the Vietnam War that shocked the world. Vietnamese fighters used the tunnels as secret passageways to launch coordinated attacks on cities and military bases all across South Vietnam, catching their enemies completely off guard. They would suddenly appear in places the US military believed were safe, striking under the cover of darkness or in the early morning hours, then disappearing just as quickly. In the Cu Chi region, the tunnels stretched for miles, running directly beneath heavily fortified US bases and outposts. American soldiers slept above ground, often unaware that enemy fighters were moving silently below them, planning their next move. Sometimes Viet Cong fighters would climb up through hidden trapdoors into American camps, set deadly traps or plant explosives, and then vanish underground before anyone could react or catch them. During the intense Battle of Ben Cat, the tunnels allowed North Vietnamese troops to hold out for days, even when they were completely surrounded by enemy forces. Supplies, weapons, and reinforcements could be moved safely underground, keeping the fighters strong and ready for battle. The enemy tried to bomb them out and cut off their escape, but the tunnels proved nearly impossible to destroy or block completely. These key battles revealed how the tunnels completely changed the rules of war, turning the conflict upside down and leaving US forces confused and frustrated. The Americans had more soldiers, better pawns, and advanced technology, but they struggled to fight an enemy they could rarely see or predict. In the end, the tunnels made the war longer, harder, and far more unpredictable, forcing both sides to adapt to a new kind of underground warfare that changed history. The United States military used helicopters, tanks, and modern bombs. They had sensors that could detect movement, and they dropped chemicals to clear the jungle. Yet, the Vietnamese built and used their tunnels with almost nothing, just shovels, baskets, and courage. American bombs could destroy villages, but tunnels were often missed. If one entrance was found, others remained hidden. The simple design protected the tunnels from floods and poison gas. Traps and secret doors fooled even the best-trained American soldiers. When the United States tried to pour gas or water into a tunnel, the Vietnamese used small vents and drains to escape. If the Americans set off explosions, there were emergency exits far away. The Vietnamese adapted quickly, always finding new ways to stay one step ahead. This battle of brains against machines became a symbol of the war. The Vietnamese showed that simple tools, used well, could beat even the most advanced technology. Life inside the tunnels was hard and dangerous. The air was thick and hot. There was little light, and the smell of earth was everywhere. Soldiers and villagers spent days, sometimes weeks, underground. They slept, cooked, and even held school lessons in the tunnels. Food was scarce. Meals were simple: rice, salt, and whatever could be carried below. People shared what they had and took care of each other. Doctors worked in tiny clinics, treating wounds and sickness with whatever supplies they could find. There was always the fear of attack. American soldiers known as tunnel rats sometimes crawled inside, looking for fighters or traps. Everyone had to be quiet and alert. Children grew up learning to listen for danger and hide at a moment's notice. Yet there was hope in the darkness. Songs, stories, and laughter echoed through the tunnels. The people felt proud of their secret world, a place where they could fight back and survive against all odds. The United States military soon realized the tunnels were a big problem. They created special teams called tunnel rats. These soldiers were small and brave, sent underground with pistols and flashlights to find and destroy tunnels. Their job was the most dangerous in the war. The Americans tried many ways to fight the tunnels. They used bulldozers to tear up the earth. They dropped bombs and chemicals to destroy entrances. They used dogs to sniff out hidden doors. But the tunnels kept growing and changing. Many traps waited inside. Bamboo spikes, hidden pits, and grenades wired to doors. Tunnel rats had to move slowly and trust their instincts. Some tunnels were flooded or filled with poisonous snakes to stop intruders. The enemy below knew every twist and turn. Despite their efforts, the United States military could never fully defeat the tunnels. They were simply too many, too well hidden, and too cleverly built. The tunnels became a kind of shadow that haunted every American plan. Today, the tunnels are a symbol of the Vietnamese spirit. They are preserved as museums and historic sites, especially in places like Cu Chi. Visitors crawl through the narrow passages, learning about the courage and skill it took to build and survive inside. The tunnels remind people of the cost of war and the power of determination. They show how ordinary people can use simple tools to resist even the strongest foes. The stories of the tunnels are taught in schools and shared with the world. The tunnels stand as a lesson in creativity, survival, and hope. They are a reminder that war is more than just weapons and battles. It is also about the people who live, fight, and dream, sometimes deep beneath the ground. The legacy of the tunnels lives on, inspiring new generations to remember the past and to work for peace in the future.